All right, if you're interested in renting to own, this video is for you. Today we're going to talk about what the rent to own process looks like. Is it realistic in the current market we're in? And I'm going to discuss a new technology platform specifically designed to help folks rent to own their home. And that's coming up right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to Living in Atlanta. If this is your first time to my channel, then welcome. This channel is all about providing value and helping you understand what it's like to live in the Atlanta area. My name is Mark Brenner. I'm a local real estate agent, and my real estate team, the Living in Atlanta team, would love to hear from you. You can book an appointment directly with me using the Calendly link in the description below. You can call, text, whatever you want to do, but we would love to hear from you. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about renting to own, otherwise known as lease with an option to buy. And this is obviously something that's very appealing for someone who, for whatever reason, does not traditionally qualify for a mortgage, but they don't want to waste rent money every month going into a landlord's pocket. So they want to rent with the option to eventually purchase the place that they're living in. Now, this is very common for folks who maybe for whatever reason they don't have a large enough down payment saved up, or maybe they have credit issue, they have low credit or no credit, or it could be that they have poor credit, not enough credit history, not enough job history with the income. So it could be a lot of different reasons why you don't qualify for a traditional mortgage, but you still want to be a homeowner. And so I have a lot of folks reaching out, say, hey Mark, can you help me find a place that I can rent, build up a down payment, or improve my credit to where I can eventually own the place? And unfortunately, especially like a market that we're in right now, I often have to tell them it's not really realistic. And unfortunately, in the type of market we're in right now, which is an extreme seller's market, it's as hard to find a rent to own option as it ever has been. So again, we're going to talk a little bit about what rent to own is. We're going to talk about if it's realistic in this market. And I want to talk about a program called Divi that is actually really cool and I think is going to help a lot of people get into homes that otherwise would not be able to. So we already talked about renting to own, a little different from just renting. You have an agreement basically with the owner, and it could be any agreement. There's no traditional or set in stone agreement. It really is any kind of negotiation that you come to a terms with the seller, where you can occupy their home, obviously pay them a certain amount of rent, and then after a certain period, you have the option or the right to purchase the home at a pre-agreed upon price. So everything in real estate is negotiable. So the terms, the interest rate, the timeline, the purchase price, all this stuff can be negotiated. But basically the loose framework of a rent to own option is that you're paying the owner rent to live there, and eventually you will be able to get a loan and finance the purchase of that property. So again, really good for people who they have good income. This is not necessarily for people who have low income. This is for people who have maybe very strong income. Maybe it's an independent contractor, okay, and they don't have the traditional 2-year income from an employer. That can be a big challenge for independent contractors. But maybe they don't have the down payment that is needed, or maybe they have a poor credit history, very little or no credit. There's a lot of different reasons why people can be not viable to get a mortgage. And in those cases, if someone is really determined still to purchase, rent to own option is going to be the best bet. Now, as I said, it's very difficult, especially in the extreme sellers market that we're in. So why is that? You know, everyone asks, I don't understand, why is it so difficult for a rent to own option? And this is why I have to tell people, unfortunately, it's possible, but it's going to be extremely difficult. Well, just think about it. If you're going to go sell your home, would you want to wait for the entire sum of money to come in? Probably not. I know I wouldn't. Most people, the overwhelming majority, if you go to sell your home, you reach an agreement and get a contract, and you're going to get a lump sum on a certain date. Whereas with a lease option to buy or a rent to own option, same thing. With one of those, you're going to get monthly income, And then at some point down the line, whatever you agree upon with the buyer, if they choose to buy it, you will get a lump sum at that point. Okay, so one reason this is so hard to do is because you're deferring the lump sum payment that you would normally get, that most people want. Okay, now another reason this is really difficult to find, especially in a market like this, it's very risky to sign an agreement like this with a potential buyer. Okay, if you're a person who is not qualified for a loan, obviously, as a seller, I'm going to have some trepidation about allowing you to come into my home and potentially purchase it if you have something going on that you're not qualified for a traditional mortgage. So as a seller, I'm making an agreement with this person, okay? And it's going to be an agreement for them to rent at a certain price for a certain amount of years and have the option to eventually buy at what is typically a predetermined price, but not always, okay? So whoever that person is that I'm allowing into my home and giving them the option to potentially buy it, there's a bit of risk there. Of course, there's always risk. There's risk when a bank gives a person a loan, and there's even more risk when a person to person, and there's even more risk when a person allows someone to stay in their house who they are not sure is financially qualified. So there's always that risk. And sure, you may say, well, if they don't pay their monthly payment, you can just kick them out. But that's a lot of time, money, and risk. Okay, evictions are not always very easy. They're often very messy. You have the potential of a tenant doing damage to the property before they move out. So it can be very time consuming and costly for a landlord or a homeowner to have someone rent in their house and then not make payments or do damage. There's a lot of risk when you're making a direct agreement with someone for a rent-to-own option. And that's one of the reasons you don't see as many sellers offering this. Now, traditionally, one group of people has been more open to doing rent-to-option, and that's been folks who are around retirement age, who don't need a lump sum of money. They'd actually might prefer a steady monthly income. Maybe they're retired, and this could supplement Social Security or a pension or retirement fund. They're not worried about having a couple $100,000 to put towards a new home. This is probably the most common scenario you see with a rent-to-own or lease option to buy is a retired person or couple. They may enjoy the cash flow month to month, and the longer the person decides to lease it, the happier they are. If they eventually decide to buy it, great. If not, that's okay too. So if you are looking for lease option to buy, you may have more success with an older seller, an older couple who does not need that lump sum, and they'd actually like the monthly consistent cash coming in. So all that to say, up until this point, I've been telling clients it's very difficult to do a lease option to buy, because it is. And you can scour Craigslist and the MLS and Zillow and for sale by owners and talk to a lot of sellers and probably eventually find someone who will reach an agreement with you. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of risk for the seller, and it's just been very unlikely up until now. And there's a new technology, there's a new company coming out specifically for folks who are looking to rent to own. Now let's talk about real estate technology real quick. There's a lot of technology related to real estate coming out. Feels like each new day there's a new company coming out that serves some type of need. Some of these I find redundant, unnecessary, not effective, and some I find that really solve a need. So one example of this that I've actually used would be called Ribbon program. Now, Ribbon does not operate in all 50 states. I think they're only in 6 or 7 states. They are in Georgia. And Ribbon is a buyer program where they allow people to make cash offers. So Ribbon essentially will purchase the home on a buyer's behalf in cash, giving them all the leverage that goes along with that in a very competitive market. And then the buyer has an option to purchase the home from Ribbon after they've moved in. So this is a great program, specifically in a seller's market where you're competing against a lot of people. You can differentiate yourself by putting in a cash offer. Now you do pay a premium. You can either get a loan during the process and save on the fee and close on time, or you can have Ribbon close on the home. You can lease it from them at a pre-agreed upon price, and then you can purchase it from them at the agreed upon price at some point. So you've paid a premium, but you've won the bidding war, okay? And now you can move into your home and purchase it yourself. So that's an example of a technology that I do think fills a need and works pretty well. I've used it with my clients. Now there's other technologies that I think are superfluous or unnecessary or overall just not very efficient for what they're designed to do. But recently I've come across a program called Divi, which is specifically aimed at folks looking to rent to buy. And from everything I can tell so far, it looks like a really promising program. So let's talk about Divi, what it does, the pros and cons, and if it could be right for you. So basically, Divi is an iBuyer program. There's a lot of iBuyer programs. Some of them are just designed to make your life easier and cut out some of the middlemen. Some of them are designed like Ribbon, like I just said, to put cash purchasing power in your hand. And some, like Divi, are meant to help people rent to own. So similar to the Ribbon program that I just mentioned, the way that Divi works is they will purchase the home for you and you will pay them rent until you're qualified to buy. So very similar to the Ribbon program, but a little bit different, a little bit cheaper and more tailor-made for folks who are qualified, but not completely qualified to get a loan. So let's just break down some of the details of this program. So first thing first, you've got to get approved like anything else. Now, they are not going to do a hard check on your credit. They are going to look at some of your financials and they are going to determine if you are viable for the Divi program. It's a pretty quick and easy process. And basically, once you go through that, whatever your financial situation is, they will look at it and come up with your purchasing power for a home. Now, once you have your budget, you can start looking for homes to purchase. And one caveat for this is that it's not available for mobile home parks or condos. So you're pretty much exclusively going to be looking at single family detached options. Now, once you apply to Divi and get your purchasing power, you're ready to look for homes and your agent will help you with this just like they normally would. And essentially, as you look at homes, just like you normally would if you were approved by a normal lender and you find one you want to make an offer on, you're going to put that offer through your real estate agent and through the Divi program. And basically, you will be purchasing the home in cash, or rather, Divi will. And it's really as simple as that. Once you're approved, you've got your purchasing power, and now you're ready to make offers with Divi purchasing the home in cash on your behalf. Now, obviously, one huge benefit of this is that you are now a cash buyer in a very competitive market where that makes a huge difference. So this is one of the biggest things I like about this program. Not only are you opening up the buying power of people who are not qualified for traditional loans, but you're actually giving them the power to purchase in cash. Remember, Divi is purchasing the home in cash and you're leasing it from them, and eventually you will be able to buy it if you so choose. So you're essentially a cash buyer at that point. You look at houses with your agent and you go through the normal process of putting an offer in on a home. Now, another thing I like about this program is the simplicity of it. Once you're ready to make a purchase, a lot of the costs associated with it are going to be covered by Divi, so you don't even have to worry about it, including inspection costs, home insurance, and your closing costs. So really the only thing you have to plan to come out of pocket for is about 1 to 2% of the purchase price, and this is actually held by Divi, and it's not even kept as a fee. It's actually kept as a down payment for you when you're ready to buy after you've gotten approved by a traditional lender. So that's still money that's going to be going back into your pocket essentially. So you've gotten approved by Divi, you've searched for homes, you've put in a cash offer, and now you're under contract with a home and about to close. What happens at that point? Well, once you close on the home, obviously you'll need to pay rent. Divi will own the home and you will be in your rent to own process. Now, something important to realize with this program is that once you do close on the home, you will be paying the fair market rent, but you'll also be paying 15 to 25% above that. And this is an interesting part of the program, but that additional percentage is going to be held by Divi, and it can be applied as a down payment when you're ready to purchase. So basically, it's a forced savings account, which I think is a great idea. So you're paying your monthly rent, you're also creating a savings account for that down payment when you're ready to buy. So essentially 1/4 of every monthly payment is set aside by Divi for savings for you. So when can you buy? Do you have to buy? Are there penalties if you don't buy? Well, the good news is you can walk away. There's no big penalties if you decide you can't purchase, you don't want to purchase, whatever the case may be. You're not held to purchasing it. You can walk away, but you will lose some of the money that you've given to Divi. Basically, if you walk away and decide not to purchase, they are going to withhold a portion of the money that you've set aside in savings for the relisting fee, because they are going to sell this property to someone else and they're covering their costs to sell on the back end. So you walk away with some of the money that you put into savings, but you don't walk away with it all. But it's better than being locked in, having to buy, or having some major penalty. So you can walk away if you need to. Now, of course, the goal is not to walk away, it's to close on this home. So what is the price and how long do you have? Basically with Divi, you've got a 3-year lease to purchase the home. If you purchase the home within the first 18 months, you get a lower price. If you purchase in between 18 and 36 months, you get a slightly higher price. So you are incentivized to close on the home within the first 18 months, but again, you have up to 3 years. All right, so what are the requirements of being approved for Divi? I'm sure you're wondering, will I even qualify? Well, they're pretty lax considering you can have the cash purchasing power, get into a beautiful home, and buy it within 3 years. Your FICO score, your credit score needs to be at least 550, and you have to have at least $2,500 a month coming in for income. You also need 3 consecutive months of verifiable income, which is actually great for independent contractors who just started their own business, because usually you don't have the multiple years of consistent income. So basing it off 3 months is a huge benefit for those types of people. You are also going to need a bank account showing a balance of at least $2,000 in it, and they will submit a background check for you. So pretty minimal requirements. Overall, I think this is a program with a ton of potential for folks who are not quite qualified to purchase a home on their own, whether it's the down payment that's a problem or their credit score. But for folks who really do not want to just be renting every month and having their money being thrown away, they want to be working towards something, working towards a purchase, and in a home that they can really settle in, I think this program has a lot of potential. Looking through all the paperwork for this program, it really is pretty straightforward, transparent, and simple. You can see exactly what's happening. Divi is purchasing the home. That really reduces risk on your behalf. You do have the option to bail out if needed, and you can still get back a portion of the money that you saved. And of course, the goal of purchasing the home is right there for you. If you're right on the fence, you've got income coming in, but maybe you need a little time to improve your finances. You know, I talk about the importance of getting with a great lender early on in a process, because credit issues, financial issues in general can take months, even up to a year, 2 years to resolve. Whether it's paying down debt, improving the credit score, changing the jobs to get better income. There's a lot of little things you can do to improve your viability as a buyer, and Divi program really gives you a runway to accomplish those things without having to wait to get in the home you want to purchase. So I'm very interested to see how this program does, how my clients enjoy it. If you're interested in the Divi program, I'm going to put a link to it in the description below. You can try it out. If you have any questions about it, of course, feel free to reach out. We can discuss it. But check to see if this program is in your state. If you're a person who's been looking to rent to own and it's in your state, this could be a really good option. If you're looking to purchase in Atlanta, Georgia, you don't want to rent, but you're not quite qualified, I think this program has a lot of potential, and I'm really excited to see how it helps some of my clients. All right, so that's a little bit about renting to own and about the Divi program. I hope you found that helpful. For those of you who are feeling discouraged because you can't get qualified, I hope this gives you a little bit of hope and something to research and check out, and maybe it'll be just what you're looking for. Thank you for watching my channel. Please like and hit subscribe. And until my next video, I'll see you next time.